So good evening. I'm Janet Lenihan, and I have the privilege of serving as Dean of the Frank G. Zarb School of Business. Before I begin the formal introductions this evening, I would like to recognize and thank President Rabinowitz and the members of the Board of Trustees with us this evening. Trustee and panelist, Stella Mendes. Trustee and panelist, Michael Roberge. Trustee and Vice Chair, Donald Schaefer. And Trustee and former Chairman of the Board, Frank Zarb. And we have another outstanding CEO tonight. In his 18th year as president, an individual whose vision and guidance has fostered the incredible growth of our university. He provides an excellent role model for all students, what it means to be a great leader. Please join me in welcoming President Rabinowitz.
It's always wise to have the newest dean in. Very complicated. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. And thank you all for coming tonight as we formally present our newest building to the community. And with our vibrant new dean and our vibrant new building, we know that they will launch together a new era for the Zarb School of Business. The Zarb School has always been and will always be a core part of this university and a critical component in our effort to meet the needs of our region. We were one of the first business schools in New York to receive dual accreditation by the prestigious AAC. And the Zarb School is not content to rest on its laurels. Instead, our goal, our aim, is to seek to provide our students with cutting-edge programs and facilities which will fill the needs of current and future businesses in the United States and around the world. So what's the evidence for that? In the past few years, part of the evidence is our extraordinarily high rankings for our online MBA program, placing in the top 10% nationally by poets and quants. I have no idea why that rating for poets into it. We are in the top 20, that online program by the Princeton Review. Our efforts are also evidenced by the growing emphasis that we put on entrepreneurship, which our school now inculcates in our students through required courses early in a student's undergraduate career, and also by our burgeoning number of global programs, including some in Israel, Silicon Valley, South Africa, Argentina, and of course, a dual degree program with Dongbei University in China, which is still the only program of its sort anywhere. And it's evidenced by the new building we introduce to you after this program. Our emphasis on innovation and leadership is showcased throughout the facility. And you will see that it was designed specifically and uniquely for the educational experience that Zarb School offers its students. There are offices for faculty and study and club spaces for students in order to create a working environment that invites not just lectures, but invites collaboration and collegiality. And technology delivers up-to-the-minute business information, literally from around the world. On the ground floor is our new Idea Hub, home of our Center for Entrepreneurship. It has an incubator and a fully integrated educational and business. Companies will work there. In fact, they're working there already. Entrepreneurs in residence will mentor students there. And the space will host all of our many venture challenges and community-based programs. Center for Entrepreneurship and the Idea Hub is a space where students of all academic backgrounds join faculty and partners from business and the public sector to innovate and to create real and valuable economic opportunities. We also have, I mean, I call this our lie detector room, but that's not the name of it. We also have something called a behavioral research in business lab, which provides students with real experience in market research. One of its only of its kind in American business school. It takes pictures of your face and whether you're sweating in order to determine whether you're telling the truth about a certain product or a certain. But it is state-of-the-art equipment, and it's supported by the incredible expertise and research of the Zarb faculty. And the lab gives, again, our students, in combination with the Idea Hub and the Greenberg Trading Room in CV Star Hall, hands-on experiential learning with the technologies and processes used by businesses around the world. But now, before you see the new building, and by the way, most of it does not have a name on it. Look around, you think you can. But before you see that, you have a unique opportunity, and I do too, because I'm just going to sit there in my chair and listen to meet Hofstra's C-suite. 3 people we have invited to discuss how to succeed in leading the workforce of tomorrow. As you heard, they are all trustees, and I am so proud that they are our stewards on our board of. I will leave it to Dean Lenahan. Just will simply say a few words. First of all, I'm so pleased to have Mike Roberge and Stella Mendes here. They have extraordinary wisdom to impart to you this evening, and they're terrific. I want to thank them in advance for their insights on this panel and their guidance as trustees. But I must pay special attention and special tribute, he's going to hate this, to a very dear friend, the man for whom the school is named, who simply exemplifies the innovative and entrepreneurial spirit of this school, as well as integrity and the generosity that true leaders possess. Trustee Frank Zarb. I'm going to be quiet, go now back to my seat. I'm going to ask Dean Lenahan to come up and begin today's program by introducing in more depth each one of our panel members.
It's nice to have an extraordinary facility match our extraordinary faculty. The top rankings you just heard about from the president earned by Zarb are in large part due to our faculty, who are consistently rated at the top of all rankings, indicating their extraordinary not only to their students, but to the Zarb School of Business. I also have the pleasure of welcoming all of you to our event, an engaging discussion among our esteemed panel, followed by a reception in our beautiful new building. The topic tonight, leading the workforce of tomorrow, is especially salient at Zarb, since we are educating and developing future business leaders. Events like this enhance the Zarb experience by bringing together top leaders of industry to share their insights and help us understand the complex challenges facing organizations today. At Zarb, students not only have the opportunity to apply what they learn in the classroom through our many hands-on experiences, but they also have the opportunity to learn from thought leaders of industry, like the top executives we have with us this evening. Our speakers today and our moderator are superbly qualified to shed a light on the world of business and the expectations for the workforce of tomorrow. Now it is my honor to introduce the panel. The full bios for each of our panelists and our moderator can be found in the program, but I would like to share some highlights of their amazing. Stella Mendes is Senior Managing Director of FTI Consulting and has over 25 years of banking experience. Prior to becoming a banking consultant, she served as President and Chief Operating Officer for. Additionally, she served as the Compliance and Bank Secrecy Officer. In her role as the bank's Senior Compliance Officer, she was responsible for developing and implementing comprehensive compliance, risk assessment, and training programs for staff and the Board of Directors. In addition, she was responsible for overseeing all compliance issues, as well as mock exams and preparing regulatory examinations. She also managed client relationships in branch offices. Before being named president of the bank, she served as executive vice president, chief retailing. Ms. Mendes has held various senior management positions throughout her banking career, including serving as an inaugural member of the executive management team of Madison National Bank. And in addition, she served as a member of the Roslyn Savings Bank Administration. Ms. Mendes earned her BS degree from Hofstra University. She is fluent in Portuguese and Spanish and is active in numerous professional organizations, including the New York Bankers Association and Women in Leadership. She serves as a board member at Education and Assistant Corporation, and she is also a trustee of Hofstra University. Michael Roberge is Chief Executive Officer of MFS Investment Management. As CEO, he sets the strategic priorities for MFS, leading a team responsible for the investment, distribution, finance, human resources, legal, and technology functions. He is also a member of the firm's management committee and board of directors. Previously, he held the roles of president and co-CEO and served as Chief Investment Officer for U.S. Investments and co-director of Global. Before that, he was Senior Vice President and Associate Director of Fixed Income Research and served as Portfolio Manager for several MFS fixed income funds. He joined the firm in 1996 as a credit analyst in the municipal fixed income, and before joining MFS, principal credit analyst and portfolio manager for the Colonial Group, as well as a credit analyst for Moody's Investor Service. Mr. Roberge earned a degree in Accounting and Business Administration from Bemidji State University and a Master of Business Administration degree in Finance from Hofstra University's Zarb School of Business. He is a chartered financial analyst and a member of the CFA Society. He currently serves as a trustee at the university, and he and his wife established the Tracy and Michael Roberge Endowed Scholarship at the Zarb School of Business. And lastly, but certainly not least, is our moderator, Mr. Frank Zarb. He is a senior advisor to Promontory Financial Group. He also serves as a senior advisor to Hellman and Friedman. Mr. Zarb previously served as chair and CEO of the National Association of Security Dealers and as chair and CEO of the NASDAQ stock market. He also held appointments as chairman, CEO, president of Alexander Services, Inc., vice chairman of Travelers, Inc., chairman and CEO of Smith Barney, and senior partner at Lazard Frères and Company. Mr. Zarb also served as senior official for all United States government energy-related activities in his role as executive director of the cabinet-level Energy Resources Council, administrator of the Federal Energy Administration, and assistant to the President for Energy Affairs. He truly was Zarb. He also served as Assistant Secretary of Labor and held various assignments within the Nixon, Ford, Reagan, Bush, and Clinton administration. Zarb, a BS and MBA graduate of Hofstra, served as a former chairman of Hofstra's Board of Trustees and presently serves as a board member. And to begin our program this evening, I'd like to introduce our moderator, Mr. Frank Zarb.
Hear me? Sounds like a guy who couldn't keep a job. Bill, I want to share a story with you. Back when I was a young man, I was really 34. Went to Senate confirmation. Now, keep in mind, in those days, it was civilized. It really was civilized. was very nervous. Hearing room, and there was a Democratic Senator, Colorado, knew I was nervous. And although I was Republican, he came up to me and he said, knew that there was going to be sort of a grueling, it'd be civilized but grueling. He said, I want to tell you a story. And you can think about the story when you're going through this hot air guys, beaches. There was this who was going to be hung out to the gallows, and the hangman said, do you have any last words? And he said, I don't have anything to say. Got to. CNN and Fox News. There's a congressman in the audience, and he stood up and he said, will the gentleman yield? Poor prisoner said, sure, but hang me first. So we're here to talk about the job of being a business leader. What's happened to it and what's likely to happen to it going forward. I must tell you that back at my age, I'm glad I'm not in that position, because those jobs have gotten very, the point where if you make a lot of mistakes, like some guy did, you'll get speeches in the U.S. Senate, you ought to be kicked off office. So, but the more important thing that's occurring is that the runway to failure, CEOs have to walk into that example. You're too young to remember a company called Kodak. Kodak dominated the universe. It had institutional hubris like you wouldn't believe. Technology was growing in the film and camera business, and they knew it. But they decided that they didn't need to do anything about it because they were Kodak. And of course the Japanese came along and really beat them. Well, that happened a long time ago, and it took a long time for Kodak to go through that process. Still failed. Then came along BlackBerry. 10 minutes. That's what the new leaders are walking into. It's no piling. I had the honor of teaching a course with into this class. There are a lot of companies that you can look at where these issues have very, very recently. But my job is simply to ask questions, and the way this is going to go, we have an hour. I'm going to ask, panelists are going to make a statement. I'm going to ask a question, and then both will answer it. Take one, that subject from the audience. Two, take questions from the audience. So, given the description I've just made of what a new CEO is walking into,
first, thank you everyone for after listening to the bios, I feel like I should be the moderator and Frank should be sitting here. I was thinking about what I would say today. That if there's one constant, at least in my career, that I can say is it's change. Being able to adapt to a changing environment. A book called Who Moved My Cheese. If you haven't read it, you should read it. It's great. It's a short book about change and being able to adapt. Luck always plays a role. But I think it's able to adapt to the change of anything that comes your way, being flexible, always always take it as a challenge and move forward. But the world today, a lot of time working with organizations that are in some sort of disruptive change, whether it's wrong or they're losing their market share or highly regulated. They're trying to figure out how do they keep themselves from being in trouble. It's a challenge. CEOs in the past were able to rely on getting good, supporting so-and-so. You can't do that anymore. You have to know what your business is doing. You have to know what your competitors are doing. Expectations are not enough to say, well, CFO did that, so I don't know what happened. You have to be involved, aware of what your company is doing. Rest at night saying, like, good, I've business years, so don't get comfortable, always think a step ahead, challenge yourself, challenge your staff, let your board hold your feet to the fire and be comfortable with that. That's what you want them to do. So surround yourself with people that are not going to say, yes, you're right. Look for things that challenge you and look to be with people that are also want to be challenged.
Technology's clearly disrupting the advisor business with robo-advisors, so trying to replace a human being with a computer and models as a way to predict. We're being so I think with the last 10 years have to be learning. I've got to stay really close to it. What's it doing in the business? Where are the opportunities? That's changed dramatically. We're investing in technology as certain change in the business, using robotics as a way to actually a number of ways that we're using technology that technologies 5 years from today that don't exist today that we're going to be leveraging and using in the business as well. It even goes bigger than that. It just goes to the core of what you do. Risk. That's what I think is probably the biggest change for a CEO today relative to 10, 20 years ago.
And what do you think the more important things that have to be taught in a classroom?
Talking about this before, I think cultural awareness is really important. Most global business. It's a challenge sometimes when you go work in other countries and you don't understand the culture and you don't understand how different people go about doing. You're at a disadvantage if you haven't made it your business to learn about how other cultures do things. Hofstra cultures into the so important. Struggle when we're asking them to work. We do a lot of work and don't understand the culture there. You're going to struggle. Classroom is get comfortable.
All the basics that have to be learned, but I actually think case studies, real world using the real world as ways to think about problems, think about problem solving, is much more important today than it was when I was in school 25 years ago. And so as a component of certainly for the business program, I think the real world case studies, trying to think about what potential risks are, what the scenarios could be associated with that. I think real world learning is a really key part. That changed constantly.
I've got a question from the audience on the subject of preparing for the new world of being a CEO.
We're not going to discussion.
What do you got there in left field?
Hi. I was wondering, is there situations you can think of off the top of your head where cultural awareness has really helped your business? There was an instance where you needed the cultural awareness to move the step forward. If you didn't have the cultural awareness, it would have been kind of a misstep. Which
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd approach it. What are the benefits of being culturally aware as part of that? So we have, I'm going to be in California next week with 150 of our non-U.S. investment. Our total investment is 280 people. And of that group, 36% of them sit outside of the U.S. And so we are an incredibly culturally diverse organization. And that encompasses challenges because you've got to manage very different cultures. Japanese culture is very different than Western U.S. culture. But you got to bring it together. You've got to work together, making policy compliance across the globe on behalf of the client. You got the logistics of time zones. You've got to bring office and city, which depending on the time of year is 14 to 15 hours different. And so we have meetings at 7 in the morning, and they're at 12 at night. And so there's a lot of challenge running a diverse organization, but there's tremendous benefits in doing that. There's a lot of coursework that's done, research that's done that diversity can make better decisions because they bring different perspectives. And actually, when you bring different perspectives to a problem, you end up with better outcomes. And so the way that we've been able to leverage it is we spend a lot of time, so I will talk next week, everybody together, and then building relationships across those cultures and dimensions. And if you can leverage that to your benefit, there are enormous outcomes, business outcomes, both for clients and for our performance for clients, but also decisions making on behalf of the business. So we think that's one of the basic things we get in this organization.
Yeah, I'll give you a recent example where we had a potential project and the headquarters was in Taipei. And it was a very complex issue. So it came down to two firms, and I come from another firm. We were having ongoing conversations with them. And it just seemed like we weren't really making progress with figuring out whether we were going to get this project or not. And my team and I were talking and said, maybe just need to go out there. Maybe we need to see them face to face. And going there, we got the project while we were there. And what they said was, our business is a face-to-face business. Our trust is based on me seeing you seeing me, and understanding where we come from. And that made a big difference. So understanding that their culture is very much a face-to-face, one-to-one was a game changer. They were completely different with us going forward, and we've had a really nice working relationship because of that. So periodically, someone goes out and does it face-to-face because that's important to them. And so knowing that for a company is important. Some companies don't care. Some people don't. It's fine. Let's do it through Skype or over the phone, and that's perfectly fine. But some cultures still feel that face-to-face is important. Knowing that can make a difference in getting project or not.
Risk management. Risk management used to be just a slogan you talk about once in a while. Being a CEO, you really didn't get very much involved. And technology has really increased the amount of risk potentials. So talk a little bit about risk management and the CEO and leadership and what they have to be aware of and what kind of challenge. Because today, if you the CEO could very easily find himself being accused of bad things by somebody that did something 3 or 4 levels down. How do you comment on that? Which one? Go ahead.
So risk is the business that I'm in, right? Regulatory risk and regulatory compliance and governance. And what, being in the business of highly regulated entities, the regulators more and more, you see in papers with financial institutions, CEOs stepping down and being forced out because they didn't know what was happening in their business, doesn't work anymore. So how do you stay current? How do you make sure that you're getting the information you need to get? You know, per se, to whoever it is, your shareholders, your employees, the regulators, you need to be able to say that I know what's happening in my business. The way that you do that is you stay current on what's happening. You don't have to be an expert, but you have to have enough knowledge to know whether someone's being truthful or not. You have to rely on technology, that they're giving you the reports that you need to see. And you need to read them and understand them and spend the time with your teams to see exactly what's going on. And it really is about reporting, the reporting that you're getting and understanding the reporting that you're getting, getting an appropriate download and having a check on those things, right? So you have systems that work for you. I do a lot of anti-money laundering work. Every financial institution is required to have a transaction monitoring system. Banks for years would say, well, that's what I do to combat money laundering. But then the systems weren't talking to each other, or something fell off, or something wasn't right. So now the financial institutions are required to have those systems checked in some frequency by an independent person. So I think that's an important part of risk too. Getting the quality of sanity check for yourself as CEO by an independent party. And you shouldn't trust your staff, you absolutely should. But things go wrong, and you have to know that before someone tell you that. The way that you do that is that you make sure you're up to date on things as they change, and that you're having independent parties kind of validate that when you're getting the right information.
So I was a chief investment officer during the financial crisis, and I'll just say this, it sucked. It was brutal. I don't think people realize how close the world was to the financial system actually just going away. Cash not working, credit cards not working, no trust in the system. I mean, there were days where I wasn't sure the firm was going to be in business. It mattered whether the firm was going to be in business. It was a really tough environment. And so risk is really important. And so I couldn't sleep, so I was going to work in the morning. And institutions around the world were blowing up. I mean, another German bank blows up, a French bank, and we traded in counterparties of ours. And we traded them. So it was protecting the firm, protecting our clients during that period of time. And we did a good job during that, which was great. And I think the reason for it, and the importance of it, is creating a culture in an organization where people feel that they can actually come and say, I think we've got a problem, this is an issue, we better go look at this. So creating culture, you've got head of investment risk, you've got legal and compliance risk, you've got corporate risk, we've got a number of risk functions, and the culture of the organization will allow them to raise issues. And so when you're going through an environment like that, they're coming in saying, you thought about it. As a CEO, everyone's looking at me for the answer, and I couldn't possibly have all the answers. And I think creating a culture in an organization where risk is really important, it starts at the top, you cascade that down to the organization, you're much less likely to run involved.
That's really important. Yeah. I mean, all corporations have this fancy plaque on the wall to talk about the principles of this corporation. But to make it happen, really make it happen, that's the real thing. And you do that by setting an example at the top and having the people immediately around you that have complete integrity to tell it like it is. Okay, question from the audience on this issue. Over here.
Hi, my name is Steve Barton. I'm a sophomore finance major. I just had a question. I know you stated staying current on things are good ways, to stay connected with the company. But what things in particular do you guys do on a day-to-day, month-to-month, quarter-to-quarter basis to make sure you stay connected with the company? And how much time and effort do you think is worth putting towards risk management before you feel like you might be wasting time?
Maybe I'll start just with things that is I get work at 6 and honestly really companies and business that work for me. And the reason I do that is I just devour information. I'm always reading. I get in, see what happens in the markets overnight. I can call people overseas. And so I'm getting up at 5:30 tomorrow, leaving the office by hopefully 9 o'clock in Boston. And so I'm constantly reading, constantly trying to find new information, constantly trying to find new constructs to think about things. And so what I would say to people is, you will never be done learning. It'll be different. Good news, I'm taking exams. Because the NOOPS exams are really hard. I didn't enjoy that. I enjoyed class, the exams were hard. And so the nice thing about it is you just read and learning's awesome when you're not taking an exam, right? Because you're learning something new every day. And what's great about what I do is, we manage money for clients. Everyone does the same thing every day, but every day is different. The world changes every single day. You wake up and the world is just changed. Everything's different. Interest rates have changed. Central bank policies have changed. Geopolitics have changed. Commodity prices, everything changes every single day. So you have to come in and you've got to reassess that. You got to think about risk associated with that. And then you got to think about, given everything you know, what are the biggest risks when you want to go spend your time on? Because you can't possibly spend your time on everything. Right? And so all I would say is when you leave here, you're not done learning, force yourself to read all the time. And if you do that, it will likely be more successful.
Yeah, I completely agree. Maybe I'll give two different answers. When I was in the bank, what I did on daily, weekly, monthly basis is different than what I do now. So I think you have to adapt that to whatever kind of environment you're in. But the way I stay current with what I do is that I do a ton of things. I also get to go very early. I am not an early bird, so it was painful for me. But what I learned is that I get a lot of work done in those few morning hours when no one's at the office. And you get to love that because the time that you spend with reports with no one calling you or coming to your office, and you really get to think about them in a way that's different than if you're doing it when there's a million things going on at the same time. I read what's happening in other areas and other businesses, and I spend a lot of time thinking about or reading about things that have gone wrong, right? And then I think to myself, that happened here. And then I take that and I do, if it was a system thing or if it was a policy change or procedural change, I think about that and say, all right, have I thought, what if that happens here? And we do a lot of work for financial institutions, and it's critically important that the work we do for them is accurate. So we spend a lot of time thinking about, if I'm sitting in their shoes, what information would be valuable to them? And always thinking about that, always thinking about how to look at things from the other person's perspective. And that's, I talk to my team every week, at least once a week. As busy as we are, we take time to sit down and figure out what's happening, what's changed in the market, what's the competition doing, where are we spending time that we don't need to spend time. As far as your risk question, I've never come across a company that I can say, that I have ever said, you're spending too much time on risk. It's not, I don't think that's the case, because back to what Mike said early on, technology changes every minute of every day. And that, every time that happens, sometimes it's for the good, but there's a lot of technology out there that's meant to disrupt your business, even in a negative way, right? And you have to think about those things too. And viruses are constant. In my firm, we're constantly thinking about how do we protect our information the right way. And because we have a lot of complex organizations that we do business with, protecting their information, their data that we have often that we're working on is our top priority. So knowing what's out there on the negative side is important too. And so there's never too much time to spend on risk. Because that is what's going to keep you going forward.
Let's talk a little bit about boards and directors, which have also undergone change and more change to come. On the one hand, directors are frustrated because they get 90% of their information from management. The world out there thinks that they're providing oversight. Well, they're providing oversight with information that they're using that for that. But the demands on them for risk also have changed. Audit committee chairman, finance committee chairman have a look. Talk about the contemporary board and what they're beginning to look like, what you need to have on your board to make it effective. So,
yeah, I think that what being asked of the board today, it used to be governance is actually somewhat unreasonable, and that regulators are expecting boards to know what's going on all the time, on top of things, and that's just not what the job is. And so I think the pendulum has gone too far, and so we've got a board for the organization, we've got a board that represents all the mutual fund shareholders. We run about $500 billion, half of that is in mutual funds that represent by board. And so they've got shared responsibilities associated with that role. And we find at times is they think their job is to side management, something they do all along the way, and that's not really what his job is. His job is to provide good governance and let management run the firm and identify where the key risk areas are and top of it. And so I think the expectation of board today is way out of line with what a board should be required to do. My guess is that we'll go back the other way at some point in time. There's a lot of risk boards today. The best board members, frankly, are those, I think, those that have been CEOs. They know what it means to be a CEO, what it means to be a board member. The worst board members are those that have too much time on their hands and they want to run the company. And those board members are fault, because that's not at all what a board's job is. And people on a board that think their job is to help management run the organization, whether it be an institution, higher education institution, or whether it be a corporation, it's the same thing. And I think having CEOs that understand how to think big picture, how to drill down and answer the right question, goes to fight.
I couldn't agree more. There's a difference between providing oversight and managing a company. And the board's job is absolutely not to manage the company. The board's job is to provide oversight and stewardship. And I think you're right. There's been a lot of push to making sure the boards are held accountable for everything that's going on in the company. You can't possibly know everything that's on the company. But what's the biggest change for me, and I was a board member of the bank I was at years ago, and when you look for a board member at a bank, you look at people that can help you run the business, right? That was the criteria you look for. You can't do that today. Then you have to look for someone who has an audit background, a risk background, a technology background, so that they understand what they're doing at a board meeting. And I think that's a good change, actually. Bringing people in that understand the business world, right? Having been on the other side of the board that maybe didn't understand was a challenge, right? Because you're then having to explain why this is the way that this is, and not why do I have to explain, A to the Z to you. You should have some understanding. So I think those are good things, making sure that you have a more well-rounded board, more rounded diversity. The studies show diversity is important. That includes being important too. But I think the governance piece for a board is if you understand the business, if you were a former CEO, or a former executive, or if you've been in that line of work, you're able to look at the reports that you're getting and see kind of where something doesn't look exactly right and ask the questions about that, not about, Stuart, how many people have you hired today? What do you think? And what are you doing?
That's why I don't fire them.
Yeah. So it's a balance because boards right now are under tremendous pressure to understand. I do a lot of work on board education, and you want them to understand the business, you want them to pay attention, but you don't want them to go too forward, because that's not.
It's really important, but the point you make is a moment more on. The danger here is that the world out there thinks that your board is doing a lot more than it's capable of doing. And therefore, when something goes wrong, you get members of Congress that will make ridiculous statements about what the board should have done during a given crisis. And to change that, not going to be easy. From the audience.
It has to do with schools. My father had a a private school that he started, and it seems to us, the parents and the majority of the parents and the teachers, that somehow the board that was set up years ago has lost contact with what it should be aware of. So in that sense, how often do you think a board should be, renewed or the members reviewed for further service?
Well, I'm going to do like Congress. Because I think bringing new people into a board, not having people there stay that believe that they're so close to it, they know what's going on, they won't ask the right question. But I think it's really important to have turnover on board. So I'm a big believer in that. And where we invest in companies we invest in, we're engaging with companies, we want to see diverse boards. We don't want members that are sitting on 5 different boards, and they're really not paying attention to the companies that they're being governed. And we like to see term limits on the boards as well. And I think it's important.
Yeah, I would agree. I think term limits are important. I think that's years ago, maybe 20 years ago, it's not something we saw very much of. We had a good board that was running well. But I think change is good, particularly on the board level, because you see things differently. Fresh set of eyes on any organization is always good. And the organizations that do well are the organizations that welcome that, that want to bring new blood, new thoughts. So I'm also a believer. I don't think 2-year term limits are probably a good idea, because depending on the organization, some of them, like my two, they're complex. And so you need time to really get to know the organization, to know how they all hang together. But I think term limits are important. I think there should be a limit as to how many boards you're allowed to sit on. And I'm starting to see that too, where someone wants to be a board member, but you're so on the board, the organization is like, well, as much as we love to have you, maybe that's, not really as much attention to it.
Isn't it particularly important because CEOs typically are really not good at getting board members off the board? Because it's inconvenient to go through that process.
Well, as a CEO, we work for the board, so it's hard to fire your boss. Right? So it's challenging.
We'll get into that separately. All right, while we're talking about boards, how about your senior leadership, your company, the top 5, 10 people who run your company? Is it a good idea for them to be on another board, another company? It's an old argument.
I mean, it could probably go both ways. I think senior leadership should sit on boards because I think it gives you a perspective of what it's like to be on the side. The challenge is, depending on who you're sitting with, right? So, for the company that I work for, I certainly couldn't be on the board of a company that's like mine, because they're that whole competition, that's right or not. But I think that sitting on boards is good to give you a different perspective of what the world is like from a different point of view. So I think
we're fortunate we invest in a corporation where we can't sit on boards because of the conflict with their company that we can't and shouldn't invest in. So I take it a little bit in a different direction. Is one of the things that I really do encourage senior people in the organization is to get involved philanthropically on boards. I think it's really important. It's easy to come in every day and get caught in your little own cocoon and think your life's really tough. But if you get on the board of and get back to the community, you learn that actually you've got it pretty easy. And a lot of people have a lot tougher. So I'm on 2 not-for-profit boards funding inner city education in Boston. I'm a big believer that's a big problem in the U.S. And so trying to identify models that can work other parts of the country and help solve some of that problem on the board at Hofstra. And I believe we give back. So my charitable work is not about writing a check with someone. It's investing in things, investing in early, it's for homeless kids, for early education, for kids that are traumatized by that, early elementary education in inner city, and then give it back to Hofstra University and provide scholarships.
From the audience, anything on board and board governance?
We have great
This scenario Hofstra having a comment, like really quick and saying I actually started this personally 20 years ago that I was professional. I think what Mr. Zarb said, very important, 90% of the information the board gets is from internal. The role of the independent director is supposed to be an overreaching position and questions the internal people. There's not enough confidence for issue more robust conversation. If the world is changing very, very quickly, we need board members that are attuned to what's changing in the industry outside of the internal directors and officers. So I think the role of the independent director is very important. I'd be interested in what you have to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think the independent director is critical. And it used to be that you only were required to have one or two, right? But now I think more and more people are looking at that, regulators are looking at that, and even shareholders are looking at that, right? They want someone to come in and challenge that. You can't be, you're my pal, so come to the board. That's not the idea. And as a shareholders demand different. They want to have people hold management to be quiet, and management should want that. It makes for a better company at the end of the day. It's not always comfortable. We all know that, having been on both sides. It's not always an easy position to be in, but it actually, for your company, is the best position to have somebody with an independent perspective on things. Because they help you identify things that sometimes we don't either. And I've seen that in my organization.
Yeah, I actually think that boards have become much more independent than they were. And so I don't think it's the same issue that it was 5 years ago. I think board members that get it, they know that there's risks associated with those jobs. They didn't used to be risks associated with jobs. There is, you're on the Enron board, you ended up paying money as part of that. And so I think boards get it today that they're much more independent than they were. And the question ultimately that we wrestle with at times, in terms of thinking about, is should the chair of the board be independent, separated from the CEO role? And many people believe there should be an automatic split of that role. We don't take that view. We think it's sort of situational to the company and the situation. The high-profile one 5 years ago, Jamie Dimon, should he be allowed to be chairman and CEO? We're a big owner of the stock, and Jamie Dimon well, very talented guy. And we were in that situation. We voted, and we think he should have both roles. He's really good at what he does. But there are many other instances where we want to have a chairman separate the challenge of the CEO. We don't want the CEOs to have this talent. So I think it's situational, but boards are much, much more independent than they were 5 years ago.
And gone were the days of the professional board member. I know we've only seen that, right? That's what they're living. It's their public board. It's not helpful because they're not political. Yeah.
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 It's Michael made a very important point, because too often companies go through different parts of their lives at different times, which requires different kind of governance at that moment. And the notion that chairman and CEO should always be separate is just a bad idea when you're not responding and reacting to the needs of governance at that particular moment in time. We have time for one more question from the panel, and then we'll go raised. If you've got people here who will enter the leadership of business very soon. You've got people here who are teaching others before they get into business leadership. Well, if you have one or two things to tell them that we should be thinking about teaching them and thinking about before they leave, what would you think?
Gosh, I think I have to say, and this may not be a popular answer, but interpersonal skills are really important. And in the day and age of cell phones and social media, we interview a lot of people that don't know how to interact in a way that is important. In the business world, it doesn't matter what business stage you're in, interpersonal skills are really important. Understanding how to interact with people, how to communicate. Communication is important, verbal and writing. And I've seen that great over the years, and it's disappointing because it's still a business where you need to communicate with people and interact with people in a positive way. So I would say for all of you out there with cell phones. I have my 19-year-old, 21-year-old, always having that conversation with them. Learn how to talk to people, because that at the end of the day is still so important.
I agree with that one. I got a piece of advice early in my career from someone that was a mentor when he said, listen, he said, even if you don't know what you're talking about, talk loud with conviction. And the point of that is exactly that. Hopefully you know what you're talking about, but the ability to be able to communicate with someone and do it with conviction actually matters tremendously, because someone's going to look to you. You're making input on decisions that you make. If you're not comfortable doing that, it's going to have an impact on your ability to contribute to that. So I agree with interpersonal skills for sure. The second one I would say is ethics. Because I can tell you, every single person in this room will be faced with a situation in your career. Don't know what it is. And I think learning to do the right thing, even if there's a personal cost associated with that, is super, super important. I worked with someone that Frank would probably remember this, the U.S. government bond. This is actually when we were running surpluses under Clinton. And we had decided to end issuance of 30-year bonds because we were going to stop issuing as much debt. And someone that worked on our desk got a phone call from someone. It was meant to be embargoed until 9 in the morning. But someone got a phone call. Someone was in a meeting. They weren't supposed to call anyone until 9 o'clock, and the world was going to find out. Called someone on our desk. This person heard the information, did a really big trade. And of course, we made a ton of money for our clients on that particular trade. Problem is the firms that were on the other side of that trade, a couple hours later, called back and say, did you know something? Because that was a really big trade for you guys. And this individual ended up getting kicked out of the business for insider trading. And so everybody here, and that's an example, financial example, but you'll always be faced with a situation where you're going to have to make the right decision. And I think ethics are incredibly important.
Well, I think the answer, but we could have just a portion on that. Doing the right thing, everybody talks about it, wants to do it. Doing the right thing when it's not in their personal best interest. That's really doing the right thing. That's exactly what you're saying. Okay, we've got two outstanding leaders up here who are successful, are out there doing it now, so we've got time for about 5 minutes of questions.
Speak loud with conviction.
What about listening?
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Marcel Salt. I'm a congregation. First things first, I want to thank you guys for coming in. First. Second, I just want to know, what is one of the biggest obstacles you guys face as a CEO?
Well, I'll answer it. I want to answer, I'll answer one of the things that aren't interesting. And so when I remember being here and with classmates that were lamenting and worried about whether they'd be able to compete, right, against people from Harvard and other places. The first thing I think it's important to actually give my perspective on this. You know, I have worked with people from all the Ivy, actually working for me today, all the Ivy League schools, Stanford, Yale, Oxford, in Cambridge and Oxford. And let me tell you something, you're ready, you're prepared, do not walk out of here with a chip on your shoulder. So that's the one thing I would say. That is not an obstacle. It's only an obstacle if you let it be an obstacle. If you let it be an obstacle, that's your problem. It's not the university's problem. So that's the first thing I would say. And other obstacles, Stella said this. The one thing that I don't think people that sit in our roles don't like to say this, but we were all lucky in parts of our career, right? And because now you have to take advantage of an opportunity, but people don't just get CEO roles. You happen to be in the right place and given an opportunity to take advantage of it. So luck plays a big piece of it, and it ultimately just depends on whether you're ready to take advantage of that opportunity. My opportunity came out of a bad situation. In 2003, there were firms that were allowing investors in their funds to market time their funds to the detriment of other shareholders in the fund. In the prior management at my firm, we paid a $300 million fine to the SEC during that period of time. And the entire prior management team was wiped out. Chairman, CEO, head of HR, CFO, head of risk, all gone overnight. And so, my boss at the time, who's now chairman of the firm, I'm CEO, he was 40, I was 37. And we were running the firm. 37 years old, for Christ's sake, right? I had no idea what I was doing. But I did talk loud with conviction. And, you know, and here we are. And so we took a firm at the time that was about 100 billion, and it's now 500 billion. Every other firm that went through market timing during that period of time is smaller today, but not large. And we put the firm back in place. We invested in the firm. We did a number of things. And so we took advantage of an opportunity. So there are no obstacles to anyone in this room. It's only an obstacle if you let it be an obstacle. And if you allow it to be an obstacle, you're making excuses. And so you're responsible for your own career. You want to find a mentor, find someone that can help you early in your career, and you want multiple mentors in your career. Leverage them, utilize them, work really hard, but there are no obstacles. But it's only an obstacle to let.
We're at the end of our hour, and I always want to say thank you to Michael Stella. You did a terrific job. We really appreciate it.